Um, the next issue we have is this is where I cut the window when I did the chop because I didn't want to take the whole, I took the body down instead. So as you can see, this piece is huge compared to it. So what I've got to do is cut this piece and re-arc it to make it fit there. So I'm going to be working on that now. Alright, so last night I did some more welding on the car. Went around, worked on welding up the back completely and some different areas around the car. I've never done this before, and everything I've learned always with thin metal is to jump around on your welds so it doesn't twist the metal. I did this last night for hours, but I'm still getting too much heat in these areas. It's causing some twists and some bends in the metal. I'm gonna have to try to straighten it out later after it's ground. There's no fixing it right now. I went all the way last night till I ran out of gas. I found somewhere open on Sunday this morning to get more gas for the welder. But so today I try to skip around more, do the welds. The problem is not everything I did has tight gaps. I'm used to welding gaps shut, not a big deal, things like that. But with this sheet metal, I need to be a little more precise on my pieces of sheet metal so the welds are smaller. So I can do a start-stop weld a couple times, in a spot and move on. I've been jumping about 6 inches apart doing it. That seems to be still too much heat. So it's gonna take a long time to weld it out. So I'm gonna be jumping around that throughout the day today. We've got the third window done, the back window done, half the trunk welded out. So today we're gonna do the third window on the driver's side and try to finish out the weld so we can get the bracing out of the car so the doors will shut and I can work on seaming the doors back together. The main issue right now is I know I have one problem door in the car. The driver's door sags down. Looks like somewhere along the line it bent the bottom hinge. It doesn't look bent, but it's off and I can't break it. I don't care what I put to it, it won't break. Heat, PB blaster, everything else. The problem is it has a Phillips head on it and then a nut on the back. I've broke 3 Phillips bits trying to get it apart already. So might end up tack welding the bolts in, breaking the nuts, cutting the tacks, bringing it out. I might have to do it that way, I don't know. But anyway, so we're working on the third window first and jump around welding at the same time. All right, so this is what I cut out of the third window on the other side. Now, I'm gonna cut this brace off, of course, but this is about the same size I left on the other side. So we're gonna put 6 relief cuts in this and it should be enough to bring it around. So we're just gonna I'll start laying them out evenly. Two, three, four, 5, and one more. Now I'm hoping by doing this is going to give us enough to curve it around. I might have to add more later, but this is just kind of a guesstimate right now. Okay, when I'm cutting these, what I want to do is I want to cut it up to here and then leave this part right here. So therefore, I've cut everything that'll allow it to bend, all the support, but I still keep this edge in here. That's what I'm looking to do. So I'm gonna cut it up to here and then up to here, and that should give me It should hopefully stay together. The last one fell apart, but it's not a big deal if it does. Now I can slowly reshape this window. I might have to cut some more out of this to make the top flex, but as you can see, I can bend it around and shape it now. So alright, so I just cleaned the surface around it. Kind of knocked the rust off of this. And cut it down to about the size I think it needs to be. I'm just eyeballing most of this. But, so we can start working this in here. Right now I'm only focusing on the bottom line. So I like the angle of that right there. So I'm gonna tack it in place and then start working all the pieces together. Okay. Now, obviously these are up too much. Try to work those in. I think it's going to push it up too high. But yeah, these are going to have to come down here to let this angle match here. So I need to trim these a little bit. That way I can let it slope back a little and up. Let's see if I can just bend them out for right now. Looks pretty good like that. So what I'm gonna do is cut all these off up here so I can get this to swing in far enough to be able to tack this, and then I can come down and work that. I gotta be careful because these pieces could frag off at any second and they're projectiles at that point. Now with this accordion shape here, I can just press on it and it'll keep contouring itself the way I like it. So I get a nice curve. So now these are a little too long. So I can do these and flatten those out real quick and keep working it around. Okay. See, this is what I was talking about earlier. I guess I'm too quick to cut all the time, so I end up with these big freaking holes I have to deal with. But I'll deal with them. And as I get pieces where I like them, I'll go ahead and weld them in place. Alright, so that's what it looks like when you first have it all tacked in. So I've got my shape that I like, my lines are flowing the way I like them. So now what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll cut all this excess off to get a nice clean piece of metal here. And then I'll have to work all these pie cuts in to get it right. But that's how you reshape the window. Okay, so I just tacked it up a little more because I've got to cut this area out right now. And if it's more stable, the better the cut's gonna be. So what I did is I took a piece of metal, This is from the roof when I cut the roof. Cleaned it up, cut it. We'll use this to make our piece to go in here. All the metal that's been put in this car is all from this car, except for the sunroof came out of that parts car I had. So no new metal, I'm reusing everything. Got to do everything on a budget, so I mean, it's there, why not use it? Just spend the time, clean it up a little bit. As you can see, I cleaned this side is pure rust still, but this side's good to go. So we're gonna cut this out, make the piece to go in here. Hopefully my cuts will be right this time. I want big gaps, and we'll weld it all up. All right, so last thing left to weld out is the roof here. So I'm gonna start on that now. The best way for me to do it is to get in the car like this and stand through the sunroof. So I'm gonna take and just start stitching around. Hopefully I can get this thing together. I got water, body hammer and stuff with me, so if it starts to twist, I can go ahead and bang it back in place. All right. All right, so everything's been welded out. I started grinding some of the areas, but metal's really thin, so if I blow through, I've got to back it with metal, re-weld it, so I've got to kind of watch it as I'm grinding it. We're ready now to start cutting all the bracing out and start working on these doors. And I can do the grinding randomly. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Let's cut all the bracing out and we'll see where we go from there. All right, so what I've done is taken this door, because we never unhinged this door at the bottom. I put it back into its catches, so therefore the door is exactly where it needs to be. The body line looks good. So what I'm gonna do is just work the top piece in. Now I know that it's rubbing on here, the cut's not exactly straight. So I'm gonna sand it down a little, and we'll slowly work it until it actually closes, lines up, and then we can actually tack it in place, weld out everything we can see, open the door, weld the back side. So that's the plan.